Hello and good morning. Today is April 30. This is the Intel Brief, and I'm your host Daniel. Today we're going to be covering Pakistan has accused India of planning a military strike soon. North Korea has test-fired a missile from its new warship. And a former AfD aide in Germany has been arrested on suspicion of espionage. So firstly, Pakistan's information minister said early on Wednesday that Islamabad had credible intelligence that India was planning an imminent military strike within the next 24 to 36 hours. It comes after the Indian Prime Minister Modi said on Tuesday reportedly authorized his country's armed forces to respond to a deadly attack in the disputed Kashmir region. Pakistani information minister said that New Delhi intended to use last week's militant attack on the civilians as a pretext for further military operations. He said Pakistan has credible intelligence that India intends to carry out military action against Pakistan in the next 24 to 36 hours on the pretext of a baseless and concocted allegation of involvement in the Pahalgam incident. So, on Tuesday, Modi did meet with his defence minister and national security advisors and senior generals at his private residence, according to the government sources cited by Reuters and AFP. According to the sources, he gave the military chiefs complete operational freedom to decide on the mode, targets, and timings of the response for the terror attack. India has blamed the attack on Pahalgam on Pakistan, which it accuses of funding and encouraging Islamist militancy in the Kashmir region. Islamabad obviously denies these allegations, insisting that it merely provides moral and diplomatic support for self-determination Muslims in the majority Muslim region of Kashmir. Meanwhile, sporadic cross-border fire has continued for the fifth night in a row, with the Indian Army saying that it had responded to unprovoked small arms fire in multiple regions. So what? I think it's highly unlikely that India intends to cross the border into Pakistan, as this would be a massive uptick in conflict between the two countries and could quite possibly lead to nuclear war. I do think it is likely, though, that sporadic small arms fire, possibly even getting up to artillery barrages, will continue over the next days to months. Additionally, I think India will conduct some form of counter-terrorism operations in the Kashmir region, looking to find some kind of scapegoats to capture or kill that they can blame for the attack and kind of get a diplomatic win within their own country without crossing the border or directly engaging with Pakistan. There's been unconfirmed, quite possibly fake, reports that the Indian military is in a pretty dire state and not really ready for conflict, which I think we talked about yesterday. But yeah, so I don't see India looking for a direct engagement with Pakistan as a fallout of this, and I think Pakistan is merely trying to ramp up pressure on India to see what they're going to do about it. So next, North Korea's state news agency said on Wednesday that the country had conducted its first test firing of a new missile from its warship earlier this week. The leader, Kim Jong-un, and other officials attended the test where a supersonic and strategic cruise missiles were fired from the vessel. Stop. The news agency reported that Kim was impressed by the ship's powerful strike in conventional defense systems. He said that the time had come to accelerate the nuclear armament of the North Korean Navy for maritime sovereignty and for the sake of national defense. The North Korean leader said that the country's ship-based firepower systems effectively combined the most powerful strike means, including supersonic cruise missiles, strategic cruise missiles, and tactical ballistic missiles. He said that acquiring a nuclear-powered submarine would be the country's next big step. Stop. So what? It seems likely that Russia has been passing on some pretty interesting technology to North Korea, probably as part of their deal for sending North Korean fighters to support their conflict in Ukraine. And it's likely what has led to these pretty rapid developments in missile technology for North Korea. While they don't initially pose a significant threat to South Korea, Japan, or the US in the region due to advanced missile defense technology, it is a pretty significant development that, if can be equipped with nuclear warheads, would become quite dangerous. Outside of this, it seems unlikely that North Korea intends to attack South Korea or Japan. It's more likely that these are just, again, deterrents for any form of aggression against the country, which at this point seems unlikely as the world is pretty preoccupied with other conflicts in the region and preparing for any possible aggression against Taiwan. And lastly, the German Federal Prosecutor's Office said on Tuesday that it pressed charges of espionage against a former aide of an AfD politician and a Chinese national, both of whom were accused of working for Chinese intelligence. Simultaneously, 3 more people have been arrested in the western city of Dusseldorf and the town of Bad Homburg, near Frankfurt, also on suspicion of spying for Beijing. Jane G., a German citizen whose surname is only given as an initial accordance in German privacy laws, is accused of passing on classified information concerning negotiations and discussions within the European Parliament. He is suspected of illegally accessing more than 500 documents within the European Parliament, of which his boss, Krah, was a member between 2019 to 2025 and had been classified as sensitive. The suspect, who was arrested in the eastern German city of Dresden in April 2024, is suspected of gathering information on senior AfD figures, including the party leader Alice Weidel. According to research by German's Die Spiegel magazine, he gleaned assessments of their roles, status, and position from confidential conversations with his boss, whose Brussels office had been searched on Tuesday, purely as a witness measure. The other national, a woman who worked for a logistics company at Leipzig Airport, was arrested in the eastern city of Leipzig in November on suspicion of having passed on information of flights, freights, and passenger manifests to Chinese intelligence. The information allegedly pertained in particular to people with connections to an unnamed German arms manufacturer and transport of arms-related goods. The woman is also suspected for working as a Chinese intelligence agent within the country. Both detainees are currently being held in custody. So what? While both are pretty unsurprising arrests, it's just another timely reminder that Chinese intelligence and other hostile states are actively working in Europe to gather what some would see as nebulous information, such as flight manifests and cargo. This is just another timely reminder that hostile foreign intelligence agencies are working tirelessly to collect information within Europe and on European companies, nationals, and government officials. When it comes to countries such as China, their requirements or desire to gather intelligence is pretty unending, and they'll look to gather information on everything and anything in case they might ever need it in the future. They have vast quantities or vast numbers of analysts to go through and decipher this information, so they just try and collect as much as they possibly can. So yeah, this is basically a good reminder that espionage can be happening anywhere. It could be happening in your workplace, your friend's workplace, and other places you might see. Stop. That's dumb. It also seems likely that these arrests came as part of some kind of break, possibly through technological-based intelligence that seems to have unearthed a nice little cell of intelligence agents, with 2 or 3 being picked up here. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what more comes from this. Possibly they might hand over other people or their handlers as part of any plea deals to minimize their time in prison. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. That has been the Intel Brief for today. I've been your host, Daniel, and I hope you enjoyed. See you.